And Madam Chair, habang pinapanood po natin ang mga video ni VP Sara, ang Pangulo ay nananatiling buhay na buhay, alive and kicking, at nakakapag-jumping jacks pa. So, buhay na buhay po ang ating Pangulo at malusog.
Tumitira sila, pero hindi nila magawang ituloy yun. Kasi nakaupo, parang tanga naman kasi, di ba? Kung ang president ka, inaatake yung DepEd Secretary mo, tapos biglang may impeachment sa DepEd Secretary mo. So, hindi mangyayari na merong impeachment. Alam ko na matutuloy siya pag alis ko sa Department of Education. Kaya, at peace ako nung dumating yung mga impeachment. Kasi, napagdesisyonan ko na yun eh. Sabi ko, alis ako dito, matutuloy yung impeachment. Okay, sige. Mas gugustuhin ko pa na ipaglaban ko yung impeachment kesa pumirma ako ng mali.
Okay. Congressman Paulo Marcoleta is recognized.
Thank you sa napakabait kong ninang T.S. Garin at sa ating Madam Chair. Just a manifestation on the video that was played earlier. I'm referring to the video which is the bone of contention, the very basis of why there was an alleged threat to the life of the President. Yung pong nagsasalita si Vice President Sara Duterte dun sa isang kwarto na madilim. Opo. And I have a copy of a more complete video. And I can say that the video was spliced and edited out. Meron pong mga tanong doon that led to the Vice President's response. If I may read, Madam Chair, ito po yung tinanong ng isang vlogger by the name of Princess Maui regarding Project Romanov. Baka po totoo yung sinasabi nila or naririnig namin na may Operation Romanov sa inyo na balak kayong ubusin. Bago po niya binanggit yon ni Sara Duterte, meron pong nagtanong sa kanya na vlogger about it was a concern about the threat on her life. So, ang Project Romanov ay hindi talaga para magplano na sa buhay ng ating Pangulo, kundi initially para ubusin ang mga Duterte. Base dito sa tanong ni Princess Maui. And I have a copy of the more complete video, Madam Chair, if you so desire to be furnished the copy of the video. And if I may add, Madam Chair, the statements made by VP Sara Duterte is mere political hyperbole rather than a true threat. Philippine courts have historically protected harsh, even offensive political rhetoric when it lacks a specific imminent call to lawless action. Impeachment cannot rest on rhetorical severity alone. Impeachment requires a disciplined inquiry into proof, intent, context, and official misuse of power. The statement was conditional on her own alleged killing, was later explained as an expression of concern for her security, and remains the subject of an unresolved criminal and investigative process. Sinabi nga po ni VP Inday Sara na siya mismo ang nagsabi that the remark was a plan without flesh and that the condition was her own death first, based on the Al Jazeera interview dated 26th of November 2024. Unless the House can prove that the Vice President made a serious operational instruction to an identifiable person or used her office to advance such plan, the allegation is better treated as a matter for criminal investigation and political censure, not as a self-executing basis for removal from office. And if I may end this manifestation, Madam Chair, based on the fourth verified complaint itself, the allegation arises from a statement made during a press briefing framed as a conditional and dependent on a hypothetical scenario. With due respect, this raises a threshold issue At this stage, the committee is not determining criminal liability. It is determining whether the complaint alleges sufficient grounds based on its contents. A statement standing alone, without an overt act, without corroboration, and without evidence of execution, remains an allegation. And Madam Chair, habang pinapanood po natin ang mga video ni BP Sara, ang Pangulo ay nananatiling buhay na buhay, alive and kicking, at nakakapag-jumping jacks pa. So, buhay na buhay po ang ating Pangulo at malusog. Maraming salamat po.
Your
Madam Chair.
manifestation is noted. The Honorable Joel
Thank you,
Chua.
Madam Chair.
Is this quick?
Yes, very quick. Just a quick manifestation. Madam Chair, hindi po totoo na splice yung kanyang binabanggit kanina na video dahil ito pong video na to ay inauthenticate mismo ng NBI. Just for the record, Madam Chair. Siguro yung portion lamang na may relevant dito po sa topic natin, yun lamang po. Dahil kung pakikita po yung buong video, ay medyo magtatagal na po tayo. At yun po, Madam Chair.
We know the manifestation of the Honorable Chua.
Madam Chair.
You
Chair.
want to speak some more?
Opo, meron po kasing video na mas kompleto at hindi naman po katagalan yung mga preceding portions
If
noon.
I may interrupt, Honorable Marcoleta, we are referring to the investigation report of the NBI and not to any other videos outside.
Opo, sinasabi
These
ko
are
lang
the
po
submissions of the NBI
the
to the Justice
circumstances
Committee.
that led to VP Sara's response on that particular video.
We
Thank
note
you.
your manifestation, but nevertheless, we are bound by the rules to stick to what was submitted to us by the NBI.
Thank you,
Madam
ma'am.
Chair.
These
Thank you,
are
ma'am.
being submitted not as videos which surround outside. These are being submitted as videos part of the investigation of the National Bureau of Investigation. And we cannot go beyond that. The Honorable Janet Garin, the one who yielded the time in favor of Honorable Marcoleta.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Before I go to my line of questioning, linawin lang po natin. Pag sinabi pong splice ay pinutol, dinugtong at nagkaibang meaning. Do I get that right, Madam Chair?
Maybe we should ask the National Bureau of Investigation.
Well, sabi nga namin, part po ng submission namin, that is authenticated. It was not splice. It was just, pag sinabi pong splice, para may ni-replace ka dyan eh.
In
Ito po,
other words, Madam Chair, it is not spliced dahil hindi mo pinutol at dinugtong para magkaibang meaning.
Yeah. And pwede naman po na kung there's time na nakita naman po napanood yung mong video. And in fact, dun po sa counter, yung sinasabi po ni Congressman Marcoleta, was already been discussed on the counter affidavit na sinabit po ni Vice President Duterte doon po sa kaso sa DOJ. Kaya po na-raise na po yung mga issue na yan.
So, Madam Chair, can the
Actually,
NBI confirm, magkaiba po yung may puputulin ka at idudugtong para magkaroon ng ibang meaning vis-a-vis na kumuha ka sa specific portion ng video na merong threat. Tama po ba?
Kinuha po namin yung specific na portion na nagsasabi ng threat.
Okay. Let me move forward, Madam Chair. Nasabi rin po kanina ng ating kagalang-galang na colleague, si Honorable Marcoleta, na tila nagkaroon ng plano para ubusin ang pamilyang Duterte. Can we ask the NBI if there indeed was such a plan?
Si RD Lotok will answer that because that was part of the investigation na nagsabi na merong nga pong Oplan Romanov. So, RD Lotok.
Madam
RD
Chair,
Lotok is recognized.
Madam Chair, may I just react to my ninang
After
regarding
the
the
answer
splice?
of the NBI, please.
Opo. Kasi sinabi ko rin po edited out. So there could be omissions na hindi na-include po sa video.
We
So,
note
edit out.
your
Thank you.
additional manifestation.
Thank you po.
Yes, ma'am.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, yung sinasabi ko po kanina, one of the reasons kung bakit nag-issue kami ng subpoena sa ating Vice Presidente ay para ho imbestigahan yung alleged threat naman sa kanyang person. Unfortunately, nung hindi ho nag-appear ang ating Vice Presidente, wala ho kaming information whatsoever na pwedeng pagsimulan ng aming investigasyon. Yun po yung dahilan, Madam Chair.
So you confirm that you intend to investigate threat against the Vice President. However, she did not appear when she was invited to the NBI.
Yes, ma'am.
right.
That's part of our primary jurisdiction under the law.
Okay. DS Janet Garin?
Yeah. Madam Chair, baka pwedeng kumustahin ko muna si Director Melvin Matibag. Kumusta po kayo?
Hindi naman po. Medyo mainit lang po. Nasira yata yung aircon nyo eh.
Nakakatulog naman po kayo.
Well, okay naman po except that siguro if you're repairing dun sa social media, we just noticed that me and my wife were under attack sa social media starting nung Monday until today. So,
Baka
I
kaya
don't
ka
know.
naiinitan.
Hindi naman po, relax lang po tayo.
Pero you can confirm to this honorable committee na lahat po ng impormasyon na inyong binibigay at lahat po ng mga dokumentong inyong binibigay ay dumaan sa tamang pagve-vet or correct vetting and wala po ditong peking dokumento.
Unang-una po, dumating ako, nandyan na naman po lahat ng dokumento na yan. It was already submitted to the Department of Justice. At dyan po lahat authenticated. Wala po kaming pinalitan, wala po kaming dinagdag. Ang nadagdag lang po rito ay yung aking order na magkaroon ng continuing investigation because to me and to the Bureau ay seryoso po ang threat sa buhay po ng ating Pangulo.
Madam Chair, napakarami po ng videos na plinay. Hindi ko alam kung meron pang ibang mga videos in the possession of the National Bureau of Investigation. Tanong ko lang po sa NBI, talaga bang lahat ng videos kanina ay totoo? Wala po bang AI doon?
Yes po, totoo po yan. Ayan po ay authenticated lahat po ng ipinasa namin sa committee pong ito.
Madam Chair, doon ko kasi sa video, meron tayong mga nakikitang galit na galit ang Vice Presidente. Yung bang parang gigil na gigil, no, na parang hindi siya makapagsalita ng diretso dahil sa galit. Hindi po ba ito manipulado o AI?
Nag-validate po yung aming mga technical personalities dyan sa NBI at lumalabas po na lahat po yan ay authentic at totoo. Wala pong AI. Gaya po ng sinabi kanina ni Agent Kalilong na lahat po yan ay totoo.
Sa inyo po bang eksperyensya, pangkaraniwan ba itong behavior ng isang highly positioned government official?
Well, I'm not an expert on the behavior of a person, pero sabi ko nga, meron kaming behavioral science department na aming kinukonsulta at katakatakan po na ganyan yung behavior. At siguro naman po, if we'll go back to our history na mga dati na rin nanungkulan ng parehas na posisyon, hindi naman po yata nagkaroon ng ganyan po na pangyayari.
May last question, Madam Chair, kasi kanina may nagsabi, it was a political hyperbole, no? Parang joke lang. Hindi po ba, matanong lang yung NBI, kapag ikaw ay isang pasahero at nagbigay ka ng bomb joke, sumakay ka ng eroplano at sinabi mong, bobombahin ko ito o may dala akong bomba, is it being considered as very serious by the NBI or other government agencies or pwede mong sabihin, joke lang po?
Well, hindi lang po sa Pilipinas, that is already an internationally accepted law. At nasa batas na po yan na sinabi na yung biro na yan ay hindi considered the biro but will always be considered as a serious threat po.
Yeah. Last comment, Madam Chair. Kunyari lang po. Ako'y nagsalita at sinabi ko, ipapapatay ko ang isang tao. Versus nagsalita ko, ipapapatay ko yung isang tao. May pagkakaiba po ba yun or wala?
From the point of view of law enforcement, ay susundan po namin parehas yan. Kasi it's not how you said it, but it will be the gravity based on the investigation. Pagsasama-samahin po yan, it will be the confluence of events. Ano pa ba yung mga naging action na yan? And if it's specifically directed to a person, at saka po yung who will be the beneficiary, at ano yung magiging benepisyo pa po other than sa monetary na maaring mangyari sa'yo.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Just to manifest, bilang mga government officials, minsan may mga bagay-bagay na yung ating emosyon ay pwedeng pumutok. However, kaakibat sa ating posisyon ay ang pagkontrol, ang pag-decipher, ang pag-discern. Dahil minsan, kapag tayo ay palaging galit at lahat ng ating mga ipapahayag ay may kasamang galit, hindi maliliwanagan yung mga bagay-bagay na ating sasabihin. And oftentimes, when we mention these statements in the heat of our emotions, this can cause destabilization. Lalo't lalo na kapag ikaw ay naghahawak ng posisyon kagaya ng Vice Presidente o bilang pangalawang Pangulo. In other words, Madam Chair, allow me to manifest that the issues on anger, on demeanor, on statements that cannot be acceptable as members of highly ranking positions, lahat po ng mga ito, Madam Chair, ay dapat matingnan at dapat mabusisi kasi hindi po pwedeng sabihin natin na joke lang. Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Thank you very much, distinguished
Thank you,
colleagues.
DS Gary. The next to manifest, and I think she is the last, if
Madam
there are
Chair.
no other interested justice members, meron pa, is Congresswoman Janice Digamo. Naalala ko lang kung during our determination of substance, marami kang pinaiyak. And I overheard that today is the birthday of your husband.
Tama po, that's right po. And instead of spending it with him dun sa amin, I decided to come today because there are things that troubles me that I would like to raise to this august body.
All right. Let's hear from the Honorable Congresswoman Janice Digamo.
Madam Chair, hindi po ako lawyer. Pero sa tingin ko po, what I am about to say has something to do with the security, not just of the province of Negros Oriental, but in a bigger scale, the whole country in general. The Vice President and the alleged mastermind of my husband's murder appear to share a common connection through attorney Ferdinand Tupacio, who is both the lawyer of Mr. Teves and a known ally of the VP. We also learned that the Vice President visited Mr. Teves while he was in jail. At first, there were different reports about that visit. Later, it was clarified that the visit was indeed of Mr. Teves, according to SILG Rimulya. However, during a Justice Committee hearing, Congressman Chel Jokno raised a serious concern that the purpose of that visit may have been related to harming Mr. Madriaga, a witness to this case. Madam Chair, if there is even a possibility that this is true, this is really very alarming. Until now, we have not heard any clear explanation from the VP. There was an interview that she was asked whether or not the visit indeed took place. And the answer was brushed aside, and I think what she said was, hindi niya kilala si Madriaga, but did not answer directly whether or not she went to visit Teves in jail together with his lawyer. As the second highest official of the country, and someone who plans to run for the highest position, the public deserves a clear answer. Ganito po kasi yun. When my husband was murdered, kayang gawin ito ng isang politiko. At mas lalong kaya itong gawin ng walang katakot-takot kung ang backup ng isang taong may kilalang assassin ay isang taong nakapwesto sa ikalawang pinakamataas na posisyon ng ating government. We have also heard statements made publicly that included threats against other officials. Some may say these were said out of emotion, but for families like ours who have experienced real violence, we cannot take such statements lightly. We know the words, we know that words, especially from powerful people, can have real consequences. That is why we are asking for clarity, truth, and accountability. In fairness to the Vice President, since she is not present today, maaari ko ba pong i-direct yung aking mga katanungan to the National Bureau of Investigation?
You may proceed, Honorable Digamo.
NBI Director, sir, may I know of the current status of the investigation regarding the reported jail visit po?
Well, nag-imbestiga po kami dyan dun sa visit na yan, and we have established that on 2 occasions, Vice President Sara Duterte visited the BJMP in Campagong Diwa, initially trying to visit Ramil Madriaga, but we were informed by Madriaga that ayaw niyang humarap. At the same time, nung nangyari yon, ang pinuntahan niya ay si Arnie Tevez po.
May ebidensya po ba tayo? Kasi palagi nating sinasabi, dapat may resibo. In fairness to the VP, we need to show to the public na hindi lang po ito gawa-gawa na statement na nag-visit siya, hindi lang ito sinisiraan siya, kaya sinasabi na she visited. Maaari po kaya nating ma-include bilang evidence or pieces of evidence proof that indeed there was a visit that took place?
It was confirmed by the then jail warden po doon, and in fact the NBI are requesting for the CCTV even before, but we have reports na may official report po kami na nangyari yung pagbisita, and we are also nag-issue kami ng subpoena to get the logbook po ng mga bumisita rito.
Mahalagang parte po ang ebidensya sa ating pagtatanong because again, in the province of Negros Oriental, back in 2022, when she ran for office as Vice President together with the President, magka-allies po kami with this group. And ayaw po natin na sasabihin na kini-question natin yung kanyang intensyon. Pero para po sa amin na, who live in Negros Oriental all our lives, napakahalaga po ng ebidensya na maipakita para hindi po sasabihin na meron tayong kinikilingan or we are just trying to destroy or to yung pagsabihan siya ng hindi tama. Para po maliwanagan ang aming taong bayan in Negros Oriental kung ano talaga yung real score po dito. Kasi po, if I may say this further, we have kasama po namin ng mga biktima who are also loyal supporters of the VP. Yung the kind who will really bring placards for her. And kung may katotohanan po ang sinasabi ni Madriaga na pinuntahan siya at siya ang target ng pagpunta kay Tevez, dapat po maliwanagan yung aming mga kababayan in Negros Oriental to the harm that it could possibly bring kung totoo man po ito. Kasi po, talagang naniniwala tayo na hindi tama na violence ang magiging sagot sa ating mga gustong mangyari no matter how difficult it will be na ituwid ang mga bagay, parang hindi po talaga dapat option ang violence. And last po, is there any link, any verified link between the visit and any plan to harm Mr. Madriaga po?
There was a report of an attempt to harm Mr. Madriaga in one occasion, and nagpadala po kami ng mga investigating officers doon from NBI at na-establish po na meron talagang isang detained prisoner doon na bagong lipat pa lang ay nag-attempt na saktan po si Mr. Madriaga.
Salamat po, NBI Chair. Madam Chair, we are not here to accuse without basis. We are here to seek answers, not only for our family, but for all Filipinos who deserve leaders they can trust. Yan lang po, Madam Chair. Maraming salamat.
That concludes our deliberation on the allegations of threat and destabilization. Thank you, Congresswoman Janice Digamo. Of course, the wife of the late Governor Ruel Digamo, who was murdered while serving his constituents in the province of Negros Oriental. Thank you, Kong Janice. Since we have concluded already our deliberations on the allegations of threat and destabilization, we anticipate the committee to decide on whether or not we will be determining the existence or non-existence of the probable cause now. But before we go to that, let me direct again the COMSEC. Please call the Vice President for the 4th time.
May the committee know if the respondent, Vice President Sara C. Duterte, is present in today's hearing. The respondent, Vice President Sara C. Duterte, is not present in today's hearing, Madam
Let
Chair.
it be placed on record that the committee secretary called for the 4th time Respondent Vice President. And to this hour, she continues to be not around in our proceeding today. The same is for our intention to cater to the Vice President the continuing opportunity to present her evidence, including counter evidence to what has been presented already by the NBI, including raising clarificatory questions through the justice members. That is for the record. Would you like to say something, Director Matibag?
Madam Chair, if there's no other questions directed to the Bureau, maybe be excused by the committee. We have to go back to our office. Hindi po natutulog yung krimen kaya may mga huhulihin pa po tayo.
May we confirm from the justice members the requested excuse, to be excused by the NBI Director? No objection?
No objection, Madam Chair.
All right. With that, we excuse NBI Director Melvin Matibag, including all the agents who are with him. Maraming salamat po for taking time with the Justice Committee in our impeachment proceeding.
Maraming salamat din po. Buhay po kayo.
The NBI officials are excused.
Madam Chair.
Gusto mo sumama?
No, Madam Chair. Madam
Director
Chair, I would
Matibag,
just
would you like to hear the manifestation of Congresswoman
I would
Ann
just
Matibag?
like to manifest, Madam Chair, that I've received reports from our leaders from the city of San Pedro, province of Laguna, that this morning at around 9 a.m., the Vice President Sara Duterte is in the city of San Pedro celebrating with the Galleria South Vice Presidents of the Philippines pop-up exhibit, which will run today until May 30.
Instead of attending in our
Instead
proceeding.
of being here, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Because they said it already. They will be answering all the allegations not here, but before the Senate. With that, the chair opens the floor On your manifestations,
Madam Chair.
as to whether you have additional manifestations, this is about the allegations of threat and destabilization?
No.
About probable cause?
About probable
Okay.
cause, Madam Chair.
The floor is now open for your manifestations as to whether or not we will determine probable cause now in our proceeding. The Honorable Lordan Suwan is recognized.
Madam Chair, with the indulgence of the committee, allow me to raise a fundamental concern before we proceed to vote on probable cause. Hindi po ba medyo mabilis ang pagboto natin para sa probable cause? I ask this not to delay the work of this committee, but because I believe that the gravity of what we are about to do demands that we ask it. You see, a vote on probable cause is not a routine procedural step. It is the gateway to impeachment itself. And once we cross that threshold, we set into motion a constitutional process under Article 11, Section 3 of the 1987 Constitution, a process that may ultimately result in the removal of a sitting Vice President of the Republic. At kapag ito ay umabot sa plenaryo at maaprubahan, ang Articles of Impeachment ay ipapadala sa Senado at doon magsisimula ang isang buong impeachment trial na tututukan ng buong sambayanang Pilipino. Kaya malinaw na napakabigat ang desisyong ito. Madam Chair, the Supreme Court reminded us that while impeachment is sui generis, the requirements of due process are not suspended at the door of this chamber. They follow us in, and they are the measure by which history will judge what we do here today. At dahil dito, with the utmost respect to the Chair and to my colleagues, this is my humble submission. Hindi lang sapat na tama ang proseso. Dapat malinaw sa lahat ng Pilipino na naging sapat at patas ito. Madam Chair, considering the weight of the evidence and testimonies presented in the previous hearings, I think it would be prudent for us, in the interest of fairness, and to afford the Vice President every avenue for due process, to extend by one additional hearing date before this committee votes on probable cause. Hindi po ito, Madam Chair, para pahabain ang ating proseso. Ito po ay para tiyakin na ang proseso ay hindi lamang mabilis, kundi makatarungan din. So that is my humble suggestion, Madam Chair. I submit it to the wisdom of this committee.
The manifestation of the Honorable Lordan Suwan is noted. For the guidance of the justice members and perhaps a reminder, our threshold in our proceeding is probable cause only. So to be specific, the question is whether or not the evidence presented from day 1 to day 3 of our clarificatory hearings are enough already to provide you the basis in determining whether probable cause exists or otherwise. We heard the manifestation of Honorable Lordan Suwan. He's requesting another hearing date before we vote. That is for the record. The Honorable Rog Gutierrez.
Madam Chair, just a quick manifestation. I would tend to agree with our colleague, the Honorable Suwan, but for a different reason. Earlier, we were voting pono on the BIR box, and I think most of the members of the committee voted to err on the side of caution by voting not to open it. And in light of that principle, I think we must measure and exact the same. We should exact the same measure of caution when dealing with the impeachment as a whole. I tend to agree with the Honorable Suwan. I disagree that it's going too fast. Maybe I think that at this stage, all of us would have formed our own opinions about probable cause of the impeachment to 2 complaints. However, I am more of the opinion that out of abundant caution, as we keep saying, that we should afford the Vice President more chances. I know the Honorable Chairwoman has, the Chairperson has made it abundantly clear, no? After every issue, after every presentation of evidence, she has called for the Vice President or any representative to appear. And although that opportunity has not been taken, it might be better to afford at least one more day for the committee to at least allow her to answer. As I understand, Madam Chair, under our rules, whether or not she has decided to answer, they are allowed to present, if not to rebut the evidences presented by the prosecution or the complainants, that they can actually present their own. And it perhaps would not hurt this committee to afford more time. And considering also, Madam Chair, that under the Constitution, any which way we interpret it, whether it's through the previous interpretation or that with guidance of the newer Supreme Court ruling, we still have abundant time po, no? So maybe just out of caution and in the spirit of fairness and due process, we would afford the Vice President that opportunity. One more day, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
For the guidance of the members and in response to the Honorable Rog Rodriguez, I just want to state for the record that since day one of our impeachment proceeding, that is determination of sufficiency in form, followed by substance, and then ground, and then our hearings today, we've been calling the Vice President every after presentation of evidence per ground. So in as far as compliance to due process is concerned, I think we have surpassed so much whatever standard of due process is being required. No? As a matter of fact, even today, we've called her for 4 times already. And I intend to call her again right before we vote on the existence or non-existence of probable cause. That is just for the record.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Jude Asidre is recognized. You will
Madam
be followed by the Honorable Laila De Lima.
Madam Chair, kung hindi ho ako nagkakamali, ito na ho ang pang-anim na pagdinig mula po nung naipasa po sa committee ito ang panukalang i-impeach ang ating pangalawang Pangulo. Maraming beses na po natin narinig, lalong-lalo na po sa hapon na ito, na sapat na ang ebidensya na ating natanggap. Kaya nga ho, mas minabuti ho ng komite na wag na dito sa committee buksan yung box galing sa BIR. Kaya ho, naniniwala ho ang kinatawang ito, Madam Chair, na dapat na ho nating desisyonan nyo yung hapon. Tayo po'y magbotohan dun sa probable cause. Para ho, kasi hindi ho dito natatapos ang proseso. Sa susunod, meron pa ho sa plenaryo at meron pa hong pagdinig sa Senado. So hindi po sa ikakabuti ng ating bansa na ma-delay pa further itong proseso ng impeachment. Yan po ang panukala na magbotohan na po para sa determination of probable cause, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Laila De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with both the Honorable Chair and the Honorable Asidre on the issue of due process. We have accorded the respondent, VP Sara Duterte, more than enough opportunity to appear before us and present her counter evidence. On the issue of due process, may I further elucidate? The Supreme Court has elucidated actually in the case of Duterte versus House of Representatives, GR number 27853, July 25, 2025, speaking through Senior Associate Justice Marvic Leonen, quote, "Due process is anchored on fairness and equity. It is flexible and context-dependent, shaped by the circumstances, subject matter, and necessities of the situation. At its core, due process requires notice, hearing, and a fair opportunity to be heard." Fair opportunity to be heard. Ang lahat ng mga elementong ito ay malinaw na ipagkaloob sa respondent dito sa impeachment proceedings na ito. Una, ang respondent ay nabigyan ng abiso hinggil sa mga pagdinig at nabigyan din ng mga kopya
ng mga dokumento at mga isinubiting ebidensya sa komiteng ito. Ikalawa, nagsagawa ang komite ng ilang magkahiwalay na pagdinig kung saan pinayagan ang presentasyon ng ebidensya at testimonya ng iba't ibang resource persons. Ikatlo, at higit sa lahat, ang respondent ay paulit-ulit na binigyan ng pagkakataon na dumalo, harapin ang mga ebidensya at mapagpaliwanag o magpaliwanag o sumagot sa mga paratang laban sa kanya. At sa bawat yugto ng prosesong ito, siya ay binigyan ng makabuluhang pagkakataon na marinig. In Gas Corporation of the Philippines versus Minister Inchong, GR number 186502, December 13, 2017, the Supreme Court explained that there is no denial of due process when a party is afforded the right to rebut the evidence against him or her but fails to exercise the same. What matters is that the opportunity to present his or her side of the case is given. If for reasons best known only to himself or herself, a party does not avail of his right to do so, then he has only himself or herself to blame. In this case, ang hindi pagdalo po ng respondent sa kabila ng paulit-ulit na pagkakataon ay hindi maituturing na paglabag sa due process. Rather, it reflects a voluntary decision not to avail of the opportunities made amply available by this committee. Nasaan po siya ngayon? Nasa San Pedro daw. And then hindi ho ba ay meron din tayong, nabalita rin na meron siyang balak uli na umalis ng bansa. Meron siyang hininging travel clearance from the Office of the President. So wala talaga siyang kainten-intensyon na mag-cooperate o magpakita sa pagdinig na ito. As the court has consistently ruled, notably in Salandanan versus Court of Appeals, GR number 127783, June 5, 1998, quote, "The law aids the vigilant, not those who slumber on their rights." It's not even just a slumbering on their rights, but it is an open defiance of what is happening here in the impeachment
Come
proceedings.
closer to the microphone, please.
An open defiance po sa atin na wala siyang respeto sa ating proceedings. Given that the committee has already received sufficient evidence, heard from relevant resource persons, and repeatedly extended to the respondent the opportunity to be heard, I respectfully submit that due process has been fully satisfied. I further manifest that there is no compelling reason to extend the period of hearings for the determination of probable cause. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you. Can we hear first from the second endorser, the other endorser, in the person of Congressman Benny Abante,
Madam
the
Chair.
endorser of the Cabrera complaint?
Madam Chair, salamat po. I fully agree with Congresswoman De Lima that we should now vote. Naging patas po tayo, naging lenient po tayo sa kanya. Inintindi po natin siya, Madam Chair, kahit meron tayong kapangyarihan to subpoena her, hindi po natin ginawa. Meron tayong kapangyarihan to contempt, hindi po natin ginawa. Ginalang po natin, Madam Chair, ang Vice Presidente ng Pilipinas. Tayo ba ginalang niya? Hindi. Ininsulto ba niya tayo? Madam Chair, hindi tayo pinagbigyan at pagpapahalaga sa pamamagitan ng kanyang presensya dito sa hearing na ito. We have already given her all the due process that she needed, Madam Chair. Kailangan nating alalahanin na bawat araw na itong kasong ito ay nakabinbin sa Committee on Justice, sinasayang po natin ang pera ng taong bayan at ang oras ng committee ito. Marami pa po tayong gagawin, Madam Chair. Ang daming problema ng ating bansa, lalo na po sa taas ng mga bilihin ngayon. Palagay ko, panahon na upang tayo ay magbotohan at panahon na upang sa committee ito, ay i-report na po natin sa plenaryo at ma-impeach na po ang pangalawang Pangulo. Madam Chair, yan lang po nga sabihin ko. Maraming salamat po sa inyo lahat.
Madam Chair.
Honorable Percy Sendanya is recognized.
Madam Chair, we have given so many chances for Vice President Duterte to explain and present her side regarding the impeachment complaints filed against her. Pero wali, consistently absent siya talaga. Ginoghost niya tayo paulit-ulit. Hindi man tayo ang korte na maghahatol sa mga isinampang impeachment complaint laban sa kanya, may napatunayan tayo. Ang kanyang tahasang hindi pag-attend, hindi pag-cooperate, at hindi pagsagot sa mga imbitasyon ay malinaw na pambabastos sa democratic processes at constitutional processes ng ating pong impeachment na ito. We have exhausted this committee's resources, time, and even patience to deliberately discuss the impeachment complaints. The time and effort exerted by everyone involved in these hearings are no joke. To the words of the Vice President, no joke, no joke. Huwag na ho tayo magsayang pa ng araw para sa taong hindi naman tayo sisiputin. Bakit natin bibigyan ng makeup class kung mahilig naman mag-cutting classes? Nailatag na rin naman ang mga dokumento at salaysay na nagpapatibay na may probable cause o sapat na batayan. Para mag-proceed sa next step na impeachment process, magdesisyon na po tayo. We believe that her avenue to explain is no longer with the House of Representatives, but with the Senate already. Something that she has, Harry Camp said time and again. Doon na siya sa Senado magpaliwanag. No more chances for her in this committee. Not next week, not anymore. Tama na po ang spirit of the glass. Maraming salamat, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Sendanya. Any other manifestations?
Madam Chair. There are
The
no more
Honorable-
manifestations, Madam Chair. Let's proceed.
With all due respect, Honorable Lawrence Defensor, we are recognizing the Honorable Chel Jokno and then the Honorable Sara Ilago.
No problem.
I hope we can proceed to reach a consensus, or if we need to vote after Congresswoman Sara Ilago. You're recognized, Honorable Jokno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kanina po ay hindi kami nagkasundo ni Kong Laila de Lima dun sa pagbubukas ng kahon. Pero ngayon po ay agree na po ako pagdating dito sa pagboboto natin as far as probable cause
Together
is
again.
concerned. Yes. Madam Chair, nakita na natin lahat at hindi lang naman yung mga miyembro ng komite kundi ang taong bayan. Ang narinig natin ang testimonya ng mga resource persons, nakita din natin yung lahat ng mga dokumento at video na authenticated ng iba't ibang mga ahensya ng ating pamahalaan. We have seen the evidence at higit sa lahat, nabigyan na rin natin ng sapat na pagkakataon si Vice President Sara Duterte na humarap at ibigay yung kanyang panig. Despite the repeated notices, despite the repeated opportunities for the Vice President to participate in these proceedings, ay dinedma po niya ang Committee on Justice. At hindi lang ang Committee on Justice ang dinedma niya ang taong bayan, dinedma niya ang ating buong bansa. I think it's time that we already vote on probable cause. Kasi kung ayaw po naman niya magpakita sa House, walang problema. Karapatan naman niya yon, pero dapat ay marinig natin siya sa Senado. Kaya kay VP Sara, doon na po kayo magpaliwanag sa Senado. Bilang pangalawang Pangulo dito sa ating bansa, ay may pananagutan kayo sa taong bayan na naghahanap ng katotohanan. Harapin niyo ang kaso, wag na po kayong umilag. We will see you in court, the impeachment court.
The Honorable Sara Ilago.
Maraming salamat, Madam Chair. Hindi na dapat maantala pa ang pagdedesisyon ng Committee on Justice pagdating sa determination ng probable cause. Hindi na dapat ipagpaliban pa ang kinakailangan nating desisyon upang magtuloy-tuloy ang impeachment proceedings. Sa marami hong pagkakataon, hindi lang paulit-ulit na nabigyan ng abiso, hindi lang paulit-ulit na tinawag, kundi paulit-ulit rin na nakita natin na nakareserba talaga ang upuan no para sa ating respondent. Kahit nga magsiksikan na ang ating mga guest dito sa loob ng ating venue no para sa Committee on Justice hearing, ay hindi natin pinapakawalan no ang pagrereserba mismo ng upuan sa respondent. Ibig sabihin, laging bukas no ang pagkakataon na magpresenta ng evidence, ng counter evidence, at sumagot mismo ang Vice Presidente sa mga seryoso na aligasyon laban sa kanya. Kaya nga naman, naninindigan tayo na wala na dapat delay, dapat magkaroon na tayo ng desisyon para sa determination ng probable cause. Sobra-sobra na ang paghihintay ng ating taong bayan. Kaya kung may bibigyan tayo dito ng tsansa, dapat tsansa para sa interes ng katotohanan, para sa transparency, para sa accountability. Sa katunayan, Madam Chair, maski po yung complaints, yung complainants ng naunang verified impeachment complaint na na-endorso ng representasyon na ito ay nandito rin no, sa ating venue ngayon. At matagal na silang nananawagan ng transparency, ng accountability, at hindi po natin papayagan ang anumang pag-antala sa prosesong ito. Maraming salamat, Madam Chair.
Both the endorsers already manifested to vote today. So, in fairness likewise to the justice members, we've been attending the impeachment proceeding for like more than a month or 2 months perhaps. As a matter of fact, we failed to take advantage of our recess to visit our respective districts. So with the indulgence of the members, is it possible that we join the position of Honorable Laila De Lima, the endorser of the Sabala complaint, and Honorable Benny Abante, the endorser of Cabrera impeachment complaint? After all, we have shown to the viewing public and even to our colleagues the magnitude of opportunity that we have provided and we continue to provide to the Vice President. As a matter of fact, the pronouncements of their team, the defense team, is very clear that they have no intention of attending before the Justice Committee, notwithstanding their readiness to answer the allegations. She intends to answer not here, but before the Senate. So, ano pong iniintay natin? Ang upuan ng ating Vice Presidente ay nananatiling bakante hanggang sa oras na ito. And as manifested by the Honorable Congresswoman from Laguna, which even confirmed her position of evading our proceeding, the Vice President is currently attending an event in San Pedro, Laguna, notwithstanding the importance of this constitutional process. That only confirms that she has no intention at all of appearing before this committee. No? So, I know that the position of Congressman Lord Ansuan and Congressman Rog Gutierrez are not consistent to the position of our endorsers, but I really wish that we conclude the determination of probable cause today, not because I am the chair, but because I am very much conscious that we have provided so much due process already to our respondents. So, may we hear first from Kong Rog Gutierrez and Kong Lord Ansuan. I think you've heard already the manifestations of the justice members who wanted to vote now. Kong Rog?
Madam Chair, we submit to the wisdom and consensus of the committee.
Kong Lordan?
Madam Chair, I thank the Chair and my colleagues. The record will reflect that this committee considered deliberately and in good faith every avenue for the Vice President's participation. So I respect the decision of this body and I now cast my vote based on the evidence on record and on my oath to the Constitution.
Before I pronounce the readiness of the committee to determine the probable cause, pursuant to Section 7, last paragraph, since we have concluded already our clarificatory hearings, as well as the presentation of evidence in support of the allegations in the impeachment complaints, the Chair declares that this impeachment complaint is considered submitted for the purpose of the determination of probable cause. So ruled.
Madam Chair, parliamentary inquiry.
The Honorable Tino.
Madam Chair, magkakaroon ba ng pagkakataon po ang mga miyembro para magbahagi ng kanilang mga kabuuang pagtingin sa tinakbo ng mga hearing on probable cause?
I think the endorsers are intending to provide summation, but other than that, I am not certain. I think everybody is ready to vote now. So perhaps we will just allow the endorsers before we proceed to the necessary motion. To provide the summation.
Madam Chair, can I have one request? Let's keep it brief. We've heard enough today. Thank you.
Yes. I think it's raining. It's raining? It's raining, so let's make it brief. Okay. We recognize the Honorable Laila De Lima to provide a summation of the Sabalia impeachment complaint.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My presentation will be accompanied by a PowerPoint presentation. I know that excited na po lahat sa botohan at maski yung publiko, the viewing public, excited na rin, but we feel that it's important to give a summation para lalong mag-guide po ang mga miyembro na itong committee. Ano nga ba ang probable cause? Philippine jurisprudence defines probable cause, quote, from a case, as such facts as are sufficient to engender a well-founded belief that a crime has been committed and the respondent is probably guilty thereof and should be held for trial. Nandun po yung kaso sa PowerPoint. Also, another case, it says, the term does not mean actual and positive cause, nor does it import absolute certainty. It is merely based on opinion and reasonable belief. Thus, a finding of probable cause does not require an inquiry into whether there is sufficient basis or sufficient evidence to procure a conviction. It is enough that it is believed that the act or omission complained of constitutes the offense charge. In still another case, nandyan din po sa PowerPoint, a finding of probable cause merely binds over the suspect to stand trial. It is not a pronouncement of guilt. Sa konteksto po ng impeachment, ang tanong natin, may sapat bang facts at circumstances na suportado ng ebidensya na makakakumbinsi sa atin na maniwala na ang isang impeachable offense tulad ng betrayal of public trust, graft and corruption, culpable violation of the Constitution ay maaaring naganap? Kapani-paniwala ba ito sa makatwiran kong mag-isip? Reasonable mind. Madam Chair, matapos ang 3 clarificatory hearings batay sa mga testimonya, dokumento at ebidensyang iniharap, malinaw ang ating konklusyon. There exists probable cause. I will run through the specific grounds in the Sabalia et al. Complaint. I'll do it quickly, Madam Chair. Pinagsama ko po yung ground ng confidential funds misuse and bribery. Alegasyon ito ng sistematiko at malawakang katiwalian sa kaban ng bayan na kinakasangkutan ng mataas na opisyal ng bansa. Sa proceedings na ito, napagtibay ang naratibo sa Sabalia et al. Complaint. Hindi simpleng technical o accounting error ang ating pinag-uusapan. Hindi isolated incident. There is a clear pattern of misuse and abuse of confidential funds of the Office of the Vice President and DepEd. Ito ay sunod-sunod na disbursement ng pondo ng bayan, arbitrary, unsupported by the necessary evidence, and a clear deviation from the established rules and procedure under the COA Joint Circular governing the use of confidential funds. Pinakanakakabahala pa rito ang pagwaldas umano ng 125 million pesos hindi lang sa loob ng 11 araw, kundi ng wala pang isang araw. Saan napunta? Yan ang isa sa mga sinalaysay ni Ramil Madriaga sa kanyang supplemental affidavit dated April 11, 2026 na kanyang isinumite at pinanumpaan sa komiteng ito. Personal, detalyado at direktang isinalaysay ni Mr. Madriaga ang kanyang kinalaman at nalalaman sa umano'y pagdadala at delivery na mahigit 100 milyong piso. Hindi sa loob ng 11 araw, kundi mas malala sa loob ng mas mababa pa sa 24 oras. Pera ng taong bayan. Confidential funds na galing sa kaban ng bayan, nilalagay sa duffel bags, inililipat sa mga sasakyan, milyon-milyong pera na iniiwan lamang sa mga drop-off points. This is not an ordinary allegation, Madam Chair. This is a direct testimony of a person who claims that it was he who transported and delivered all this money sourced from public funds. Ang pag-abuso sa confidential funds ay lalo pang pinagtibay ng forensic findings ng National Bureau of Investigation Question Documents Division. Sa pagsusuri ng NBI sa ilang acknowledgement receipts that were submitted by the Office of the President and DepEd to substantiate supposedly their liquidation of the confidential funds, lumalabas na pineke ang mga pangalan at pirma ng mga di umano'y nakatanggap ng pondo. Malinaw indikasyon ayon sa NBI na bagamat magkakaibang pangalan at lagda ang ginamit, ang mga ito ay isinulat o pinirmahan ng iisang tao lamang. Ito rin ay pinagtitibay, Madam Chair, ng certification na isinumite ng Philippine Statistics Authority, PSA. Kinumpirma ng PSA na may mga pangalan ng mga sinubmits na acknowledgement receipts na walang record sa civil registry. Isa na namang misteryo sa seryong ito ng mga kababalaghan. If these people, Mary Grace Piatos, Kokoy Villamin, and the others do not exist, malinaw ang implikasyon. The documents submitted to justify the supposed use of confidential funds are based on fictitious identities. Kung gayon, ay saan o kanino napunta ang pondo. Isa itong hayagang panloloko sa taong bayan. Madam Chair, the Commission on Audit na mismo ang nagsabi, mayroong paglabag sa paggamit ng confidential funds. Sa COA Commission Proper Decision number 2026-171, denied ang appeal ng Office of the Vice President sa Notice of Disallowance para sa 2022 confidential funds. Ang halaga, 73.2 million. Ang dahilan, failure to comply with the joint circular governing confidential funds, including the failure to properly substantiate the use of these funds. Mayroon pang hiwalay na COA Notice of Disallowance sa confidential expense ng OVP para sa 2023 na umaabot naman sa 375 million pesos. Suma total, nasa 448 million pesos ang pinababalik ng COA sa OVP dahil nasuri nilang maanumalya ang paggamit ng confidential funds. This, Madam Chair, I submit, is not merely a technical finding. This is an official determination by the state auditor na ang pera ng bayan, halos kalahating bilyong piso, ay ginamit sa mali at lumalabag sa umiiral na mga regulasyon. Napresenta rin sa clarificatory hearings ng komite ang transcripts at recordings ng mga naisawalat sa House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability noong 19th Congress. Kabilang na dito ang mga envelope na ebidensya ng bribery and corruption ng mga DepEd officials. In fact, Attorney Michael Powa was invited by the committee for being the Vice President's former Chief of Staff and spokesperson in DepEd, even confirmed that he in fact received envelopes containing money from VP Sara. Madam Chair, kapag pinagsama-sama natin ang lahat, ang salaysay ni Mr. Madriaga, ang NBI forensic findings, ang testimonya sa mga nakaraang pagdinig, at higit sa lahat ang final decision ng Commission on Audit, hindi na ito aligasyon lamang. Mayroon ng malinaw, magkakaugnay at nakakaalarmang pattern. At kung pamantayan ng probable cause ang pinag-uusapan, higit pa ito sa sapat, sumobra pa. Pero hindi pa dito natatapos. Doon naman po tayo sa unexplained wealth. Sa halos 20 taon ng panunungkulan ni VP Sara mula noong siya ay unang nahalal noong 2007 sa Davao hanggang sa maging pangalawang Pangulo. Makikita ang tuloy-tuloy na pagtaas ng kanyang idineklarang net worth, pero kulang-kulang at kaduda-duda ang mga detalyeng nasa SALN. Kasabay pa rito ang mga documented movement o daloy ng malalaking pondo o transactions sa iba't ibang bank accounts ni na VP Sara at kanyang asawa. Simple lang naman ang ating tanong. Ang pagyaman bang ito ay naaayon o proportionate sa kanyang sahod at iba pang lehitimong pinagkakakitaan? Noong nakaraang pagdinig, Madam Chair, masusi at detalyado nating sinuri ang mga SALN ng pangalawang Pangulo mula 2007 hanggang 2024. Kapansin-pansin ang pagtaas ng kanyang net worth through the years, pero inote natin na base sa 2024 SALN, siya at ang kanyang asawang si Attorney Manasseh Escarpio ay may net worth na 88.5 million, ang pinakamalaki sa kanyang halos 2 dekada sa gobyerno. Mas lalong kapansin-pansin na mula 2019 hanggang 2024, wala siyang dineklarang cash on hand or cash in bank. Bokya. Tapos, ang sasabihin lang ay inilagay ito sa others. Sa pandilin lang na ito para namang pinanganak lang tayo kahapon. Dito pumapasok ang napakabigat na report ng Anti-Money Laundering Council or AMLAC. Napag-alaman natin mula sa AMLAC na ang total aggregate value ng mga covered at suspicious transactions na may kaugnayan kay Vice President Sara Duterte at sa kanyang asawa ay umabot sa mahigit 6.7 billion pesos. Hindi lamang ito isang transaksyon. Binubuo ito ng 663 covered at suspicious transaction reports na na-flag ng AMLAC sa mag-asawang VP Sara Duterte at Attorney Manasseh Escarpio. Relevantly, we can take legislative notice of the fact na sa pagsasampa ng kaso ni Manasseh Escarpio laban sa ilang mga miyembro ng komiting ito, sa BSP at AMLAC officials at ilang John Does ukol sa paglabag daw sa Bank Secrecy at Data Privacy Act at kasama nga po kaming 4, ay waring inamin na niya ang pag-iral at pagiging lehitimo na mga bilyon-bilyong pisong transaksyon na dumaloy sa bank accounts niya at ni VP Sara. At dito ay kapansin-pansin ng napakalaking discrepancy o hindi pagkakatugma mula sa mahigit 4.4 bilyong pisong pumasok sa kanilang mga account kumpara sa mga halagang idineklara sa mga SALNs. Ang tanong, bakit wala sa SALN? Saan ito napunta o ginamit? Bakit wala itong nibakas man lang sa mga deklarasyong dapat sana'y sumasalalim o sumasalamin sa buong financial truth ng isang public official? Ito po ay hindi lamang discrepancy. This is red flag of the highest order. This is a clear constitutional breach, a veritable black spot in our system of accountability of public officers. Dagdag pa rito, ayon mismo sa financial intelligence analysis ng AMLAC, ang mga hindi pangkaraniwan at bilyon-bilyong transaksyon na ito ay maaaring maiugnay sa 3 predicate crimes ng money laundering, drug trafficking and related offenses, graft and corrupt practices, at malversation of public funds. Napagtitibay rin ng ulat ng AMLAC ang mga resulta ng investigasyon ni dating Senador Antonio Trillanes IV. The former senator's sinumpaang salaysay contained annexes pertaining to summaries of supposed bank transactions in hefty amounts in bank accounts of Sara Duterte, either singly or jointly with her father, husband, and the rest of the Duterte family. Tinukoy rin ni Senator Trillanes ang umano'y daloy ng pondo papunta sa Vice Presidente mula sa isang alleged drug lord na si Samuel Sammy Uy. This representation, as you may remember, randomly selected 18 transactions, and we've been corrected earlier by the Honorable Chair. 19 transactions nga po pala ang aking pinili randomly from the transactions appearing dun sa annexes ng sinumpaang salaysay ni Senator Trillanes. The AMLAC confirmed that 19 out of 19 randomly selected transactions appeared in AMLAC records. Kung hindi nagtutugma ang dineklara ni VP Sara sa SALN niya sa mga naiulat na bulto-bulto at dambuhalang transactions ng AMLAC, ito namang mga sinuri nating transaksyon sa annexes ng sinumpang salaysay ni Senator Trillanes ay tugmang-tugma sa nasa AMLAC report. This, Madam Chair, I believe is not coincidence. Ito ay malinaw na corroboration. For prudence, Madam Chair, sinuri rin natin ang maaring lehitimong pinanggalingan ng yaman. The Securities and Exchange Commission submitted to this committee the general information sheets and the audited financial statements, AFS, of the business or businesses associated with the President and her husband. Batay sa mga record, ang mga negosyong iniuugnay sa Vice Presidente at sa kanyang asawa ay hindi nagpapakita ng sapat na kita. Ang ilan pa nga ay nalulugi o kukonti lamang ang earnings. Sa mga findings na ito, mapapaisip tayo. Kung hindi galing sa sahod at hindi rin kita mula sa negosyo o lehitimong asset, saan hinugot ang bilyon-bilyong piso na nasa ulat ng AMLAC? Unexplained wealth is not a mere technical defect, nor is it a minor omission. Unexplained and undisclosed wealth is a flagrant constitutional violation. Malinaw po sa batas, Section 2 ng RA 1379, na kapag ang isang public official ay nagkaroon ng ari-arian na manifestly disproportionate, hindi tumutugma sa kanyang sahod at lawful income, ito ay may presumption na unlawfully acquired. Ayon sa Supreme Court sa Heirs of Ligot versus Republic of the Philippines, GR number 257827, March 5, 2025, quote, wealth acquired by a public officer during their time in office that is clearly disproportionate to their lawful income is presumed ill-gotten, end of quote. And when this presumption is not overcome, this becomes a clear culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayal of public trust. Taking all of this together, Madam Chair, colleagues, on the issue of unexplained wealth, kapag pinagsama-sama natin ang nasuri natin sa SAL ni VP Sara, ang report ng AMLAC, ang corroborated transactions amounting to billions, at ang kawalan ng sapat na lehitimong pinanggagalingan ng yaman sa ilalim ng pamantayan ng probable cause, sobra pa sa sapat ito. Sa last ground naman po on threats and destabilization. Tungkol sa pagbabanta at destabilisasyon, Madam Chair, nakita natin ang video. Walang duda na authentic ito. Si VP Sara mismong umamin na siya ay nangontrata ng isang mamamatay tao para ipapatay ang matataas na opisyal ng gobyerno, lalo na yung Pangulo. Ang pagbabantang ito ay hindi biro, hindi hyperbole. No joke, no joke. Sabi nga mismo ni VP Sara, no one can now claim that that was merely a joke or a rhetoric. Ang NBI ay nakakita ng sapat na basehan para sampahan ng kaso ng grave threats or inciting to sedition. Madam Chair, there is no question whether she uttered those threats because it is very clear that she did. In fact, masasabi natin na ang pinakamalakas na ebidensya sa impeachment proceeding na ito ay si VP Sara mismo. Narinig natin ang kanyang mga sinabi at inasal. Hindi niya ito tinanggi o binawi kailanman. Res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. Masahol pa rito, under the Constitution, ang Vice Presidente ang papalit kapag mawala o maging incapacitated ang Pangulo. Sa kanyang pagbabanta sa buhay ng Presidente, hindi ba malinaw na may conflict? Kaya ang pagbabanta o pangungontrata ni VP Sara para ipapatay ang Pangulo ay isang napakabigat at seryosong bagay na hindi pwedeng baliwalain. Kung ipagwawalang bahala lang natin ito, ano ang mensaheng pinapaabot natin sa sambayan ng Pilipino? Na ang mataas na posisyon ay lisensya para magbanta at magpapatay? Hindi ito katanggap-tanggap. Of course, it is an affront to the targeted individual. But more than that, it is an attack on the very foundation of our government and an insult to every Filipino who upholds the rule of law and values the sanctity of human life. Thus, as with the other issues, there is more than probable cause here, where the Vice President issued grave threats, incited the people to sedition, and committed acts that tend to destabilize the government. Sa conclusion na po ako, Madam Chair, honorable colleagues, we can reasonably conclude that the pieces of evidence before the committee, both testimonial and documentary, are clear, consistent, preponderant, and mutually reinforcing. From the misuse and abuse of confidential funds, bribery of DepEd officials, to the alarming pattern of amassing unexplained wealth, to the gravity of threats and seditious incitement that strike at the very heart of our constitutional order, ito po ay klaro. There exists probable cause to impeach the Vice President. Walang duda. Higit pa sa probable cause ang ating nakita sa impeachment proceeding na ito, walang kwestiyon, meron tayong sapat at makatwirang dahilan upang umusad ang prosesong ito at para ma-impeach ang Vice Presidente. Let us then move forward to impeach the Vice President. Maraming salamat po.